Wait. Okay, before we get started, there's just one thing I have to do. Oh, let me just soak it in for a second. Oh, I missed one. Oh, so nice, it never gets old. This is the MSI Delta 15 AMD Advantage Edition. It's an ultra thin, for gaming laptop standards at least, lightweight unit packed with powerful hardware and compelling peripherals. First of all, you might be wondering what the heck AMD Advantage is, and well, you're not alone. Think of it like a threshold for qualifying combos of hardware. Laptops paired with high refresh rate, low latency displays, and proprietary AMD smart technologies, among other things, are graced with this label. And AMD's working hand in hand with these brands to make these products a reality. This is a 15.6-inch laptop mated to a 1080p 240Hz IPS display. I told you, they weren't messing around. You'll find a full RGB backlit keyboard and large springboard trackpad on the deck. Driving things is an AMD Ryzen 7 5800H, which is an insanely powerful mobile processor, as you'll see shortly, and handling graphics is an AMD Radeon RX 6700 with a whopping 10 gig frame buffer. Yeah, all that in this slim 15-inch profile. Getting into the Delta 15 is fairly straightforward for those who are interested maybe in upgradability. You can do that here. There's some things you can upgrade. And then also just general service and maintenance if you want to swap thermal paste later on. Just a few Phillips screws all the way around the device. Cover here snaps off, and well, we've got to remove this. Now, in typical MSI fashion, you will have to flip the motherboard over. There's actually a reason why they do things this way, just to help with the heat dissipation. If you want to access the RAM slots, let's say, you can remove the Wi-Fi card here, but everything else is going to be on the other side, including your M.2s. So this here is basically the entire main board. It comes out fairly easily. I mean, once you remove the back cover, there's only a couple more screws holding the main board down. Actually, most of the case screws thread all the way through to tighten this in place. But you can see we've got our two modules here, our memory modules. You've got your Wi-Fi card I mentioned earlier, and then we have our M.2. This one, I believe here, yep, it's a 1 terabyte module, and you actually have a second M.2 slot for expandable storage, so that's quite nice. And you can see these two beefy fans here on either side. They do a great job getting rid of the heat. The laptop obviously does get pretty hot under a full load, so having two of these is crucial. Plenty of copper running the span of the main board as well, with our CPU and our graphics processor. Of course, our 10 gigs of VRAM baked in as well. While it is a bit annoying removing the board to access your primary components, things you might want to swap out, including RAM, it's actually pretty nice to just have this in one big piece. It's, again, not super complicated, and the cooling system is actually mated to the main board, including the fans here, not to the chassis. So it just, yeah, I think it's bit of a hurdle to get around, but once you get there, it's actually pretty serviceable like this. The all aluminum body and carbon gray metal finish is a welcomed addition. It has a premium feel, no plastic bits. It's a really solid laptop, and the screen hinges all the way back for extra versatility if you're interested in that. Now, about the screen though, color reproduction is excellent thanks to the adoption of IPS over VA or TN, and yet we're still pulling 240 Hz from it with minimal ghosting considering the technology we're working with. It's one of the reasons the Delta 15 earns the AMD Advantage tag. You might have noticed this is a matte display as well, a choice that should benefit those gaming on the go and in harsher lit environments out of their control. Maybe you're in an airport or you're outside at school, what have you. It still looks great though, and the fact that it isn't touch capable means you have no need to deal with pesky fingerprints. Peripherals are plenty as well. You'll find one USB 3.2 Type A port off to the left along with a Type C port, charging port, and unified headphone jack. The right boasts much of the same, only swapping the jack for an HDMI port capable of up to 4K 60 out. There are also plenty of vents along the sides and rear of the Delta 15 for plenty of breathing room during those intense gaming sessions. More on that later, but you get the point. Powerful hardware combined needs to have plenty of breathing room, and the Delta 15 provides that. The keyboard feels really nice. Generally speaking, the spacing is a bit wide for my taste, but it's going to obviously vary. Your mileage will vary based on the size of your hands and maybe just what you're used to. I'm used to more compact keys. I typically carry around a smaller laptop with me, but if you're into the 15-inch profile, which is actually one of the more common laptop standards today, you'll find everything you want for a gaming laptop, including decent key travel, which I found was quite nice, full-size arrow keys off to the right, the shift key is slightly smaller because of that, and RGB backlighting, which you can control and sync in the MSI Center. The speakers, another part of the gaming experience here, are down-firing, not the best, but range is quite good, along with plenty of volume, so they make up for the positioning here. Have a listen. And while we're here, we should also test the camera and microphone. This here is a test of the MSI Delta 15's camera, which is positioned up top. No chin cam here, which is great to see, as well as the built-in microphones. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Now onto the battery. Quad cell, 82 watt hour. It lasts actually a pretty long time for simple office work and media consumption. Ryzen has always been pretty good about standby time as well. Maybe you're just, I don't know, occasionally using it, watching Netflix, just scrolling online. The battery will last you a very, very long time. In our testing, well over 10 hours. But if you're gaming, expect an hour, maybe an hour 30 minutes tops. And this really is going to depend too on the refresh rate that you have your screen set to. This being 240 hertz means you can dial it down to either 120 or 60 depending on the workload. It's just nice to have that flexibility there, and Windows makes it pretty simple to swap between them. And on that note, you can do even more with managing power modes with the MSI Center, including enabling an exclusive gaming mode for ideal performance at just the right time. So let's move on to just that then, performance. As expected, the 5800H with its 8 cores and 16 threads absolutely shreds through synthetics. Cinebench pins this clear of even desktop grade first gen Ryzen chips like the 1700X, and the much newer architecture keeps efficiency and power draw in check as well. We'll have power draw on the screen that you'll see here for some of the games we tested. 3D Mark Time Spy reveals a balanced combination of hardware and a score that places the Delta 15 square in the middle of all submitted results. Keep in mind this is a 1440p benchmark as well, and this only being mated to a 1080p screen means that this is actually punching slightly above its weight class, and I think scoring right in the middle is a pretty solid feat for a gaming laptop in this price range. The 6700M, by the way, is no slouch despite its mobile nomenclature. Moving on to a few games, starting first with Dirt 5, we see that this laptop is certainly capable of triple-digit frame rates in its native resolution. I think it was smart to pair this hardware again with a 1080p screen and not something with a higher PPI. 4K would have just been unrealistic, and that's really debatably targeted more towards creators. This being a full-fledged gaming laptop means that higher refresh rates are generally going to be more desirable, and you aren't likely to notice the resolution shortcomings from your average viewing distance anyway with a 15-inch screen. I also wanted to try multitasking with this built-in benchmark, something that the 1500H should be able to handle with ease, seeing as though most of the games you're going to see here are stressing the graphics processor more so than the CPU. And sure enough, the frame rate is still plenty acceptable at around 90 on average, meaning we're seeing only a 10% or so reduction while screen recording and encoding at 10 megabits per second with OBS. Whew. Breather after that one. But hey, this ain't bad at all. Next up is Red Dead Redemption 2, which we ran in the Vulkan API just for the lulz. Medium settings across the board, no AA, and we're in a healthy 100 FPS plus territory in 1080p, again proving that this resolution is perfect for the hardware. This rings back to the AMD Advantage certification as well. The idea that you don't need the absolute best specifications money can buy to have an optimal gaming experience. It's all about balance here, and so far, I feel like I'm gaming on a solid desktop minus the bulk, and that's a huge accomplishment for any laptop, let alone one as thin and light as this. Next up is Battlefront 2, a game I've actually grown to love for its stunning visuals and current optimization. It was a little rough out of the gate, but now it's in the sweet spot. And with medium settings again across the board in our native resolution, we're creeping into the 140s and even 150s, depending on the scene, which is phenomenal. The wife actually got mad at me because I wouldn't stop playing this game on the Delta 15. It's just that good. I don't feel like I'm gaming on a gaming laptop, and that's not an insult to laptops, it's just usually there are some trade-offs, right? But here, the Delta 15 is pulling its weight and then some. By the way, I'm not that great at this game yet, so please be gentle in the comments. Lastly, I wanted to test a game that I knew would take full advantage of the Delta 15's 240Hz display. Because at this point, you might be thinking, oh, Greg, what's really the point of 240Hz? I mean, medium settings are pushing us anywhere between 100 and 150 FPS in some modern titles, which is still very good for, again, a laptop like this, but we'd be fine with 144Hz variants so far. And that would be true if not for League of Legends and other games like it. These games are relatively lightweight on both the CPU and GPU, meaning we easily hit the 240Hz cap in the medium preset. It's like the laptop wasn't even trying, and boy, was this game smooth. I haven't gamed on a proper 240Hz display in a long time, at least not to the point where I was fully saturating the refresh rate in-game, but this is freaking fantastic. Dota 2, League, CSGO, all of these will look so good on the Delta 15. So here's where we stand then. If you want something reliable that won't break the bank, that is also very good at gaming, this is for you. I mean, it's clearly targeted at gamers, no surprise there, but particularly those who might have very mobile lifestyles or no need for a standalone desktop for work and play. It's thin enough and light enough to not be such a nuisance while traveling, especially in airports. Maybe you're just taking it on buses all day long, or you're just carrying it in your backpack to classes and whatnot. The fact is, it's not going to be a literal physical burden while you take it where you need to go. That's what the MSI Delta 15 is good at, not being a burden while still being an awesome portable gaming device. And because of that, this is surely one to consider in the $1,500-ish ballpark. Learn more about it by clicking the sponsor link below. If you guys enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and stay tuned for what's cooking next here on the channel. Again, check out the MSI Delta 15, linked in this video's description. A big thanks again to both AMD and MSI for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. That's all for me. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for learning with me.